Let me get this thing here. Right. This is the running order. So we're very pleased to have two of our councillors who are taking a leading role in the thorny issue of what is the future of Richmond Town Centre and indeed what is its lifetime strategy. And Councillor Katie Mansfield represents St Margaret's in North Twickenham, and she is the project lead member for the Richmond Town Centre project. Councillor Phil Giesler represents Teddington, and he is the lead member for Business Growth. So they've come over the bridge into alien territory. So it'd be nice to them. And then, as you'll see from here, there are 6 topic tables. In my chair's chat sheet, I didn't refer to the subject matters, but broadly speaking, on each table is the subject matter that particular table is going to discuss once you've heard from the 2 councillors. Each table has a facilitator. Write your comments on post-it notes, and each table has a flip chart. So the idea is to put all the post-it notes on there. I will ring a bell after 15 minutes or so, which is a signal for you to move tables and choose a different subject should you wish. You don't have to do so. When we've exhausted that, and at about 8:45, the facilitators will, I hope, summarise all your discussions briefly, and we'll then post the thing with me summing up and trying to work out what we're going to do next in view of all your discussions. So that's it. And these are the table topics. So for those of you who are sitting in the back row, so to speak, if you fancy any of those particular ones to start off with, I suggest you go to them once councillors have given their presentations. So I'm going to shut up, and we're now going to move to Councillor Mansfield's presentation. Sorry. Yeah. Whilst we're trying to bring the presentation up, Max, you might need to come down, I think. I should explain that we are videoing the first part, and we're videoing the 2 presentations. The cameras will then turn off all the discussions around the table, and they will turn back on when the facilitators summarise, and right at the end. And and the object of the exercise is that we'll put something out as a presentation on YouTube or some such. We also have a photographer wandering around, so if you don't watch the photograph, take them, you should indicate that. So I hope that's clear, and we should. All yours. There's a microphone here if you want to use that.
I don't mind. Am I clicking on or something else?
So I think you can click on.
Okay, this was all prepared. Right. Am I speaking into this one then?
Speaking
Speaking to this one? Oh, a bit loud, yeah. Stay here. Okay. Okay, so thank you for the introduction, and yeah, a little bit. I know I am a councillor across the river, but when we say that Richmond Town Centre is important, I'm in St Margaret's and it is my local town centre. I was here this morning at the dentist, I was here at the shops, and I was here stocking up on chocolate at Marks and Spencer. So it's important to me that Richmond Town Centre is vibrant, it's inclusive, and it is the sort of place that we want it to be. So I'm working on this, and I've been working on this for a little while. And the first thing that we did was try and click on a, and to forget it to move. Thank you. So the first thing that we did was we listened to a lot of the feedback that there has already been about Richmond Town Centre. There's been a huge amount of surveys done, there's been research done for the nighttime strategy that Bill's going to talk about as well. There's been lots of research done, but we wanted to do more. We wanted to make sure that we went out beyond the normal people who respond to our surveys. So we made a concerted effort of getting into groups of people that didn't normally respond to our surveys to get that feedback. And what we found was there's a huge amount of wonderful stuff about Richmond that we want to celebrate. There's an issue with high streets up and down the country. It's something, there's a transition, that things are changing. But actually, we've got a perfect canvas for a great town centre. And people are really proud of it. 80% of people were telling us how proud they are of the green space. Now that's down by the riverside, that's the green. All of those spaces, people were telling us were great and they were proud of. 44% were happy about public space and how we have that public space down by the river and on the green. And 43% were talking about the positivity of the evening and nighttime offer that's there. But there are challenges, and there's challenges that we know that people have been presenting to us. Now, we can go in any one direction on this, but all of those three are things that we absolutely need to address because they came up from such a significant number of people. One of the ones I'm particularly aware of is the 54% of people who said that there weren't enough things for young people to do. Now that is heartbreaking really, when we want to create a community, when we want to create a town centre that's there for everybody. So we've been talking to young people about what it is that they want. And the comment that came back from that survey actually was, we like hanging around in Richmond because we feel it's safe, but we know nobody wants us there. And horrible to think about our young people and thinking like that. So we need to do things that make them feel welcome and included. In addition, we have got an issue with the air quality in the town centre. 60% of people said that, but we know that from independent data as well, is that George Street does not have a good quality air quality that we would like it to have. And the experience of spending time walking and just being in the town centre is not good enough for 41 or 42% of people. Now, I am not sure how you managed to move that on to the next one. So there we go. So in terms of the feedback on the priorities, people were very clear as well about what they wanted us to do. Very important to protect those natural places. That's going to be an absolute key of things that we need to do. 63% of people wanted more variety in what we could do in the town centre. And 49% of people, although they said we've got some great public spaces, they wanted more enhancement in public spaces. And we do know a little bit about what that is. That's things like seating and spaces to spend time and enjoy it. Places are lovely, but how do we interact with it? And so what we did was we came up with the key themes that we need to work on, which loosely aligned to what you're talking about this evening as well, which is quite fortunate. So it is about public space. Young people I know are being thought of in every single one of these tables because we think it's an underlying theme that is so important that it comes into everything you're talking about, but culture, heritage, and how people move around the town centre and how they get in. And then we came up with a vision, and I am fully aware from social media that a lot of people think this is a lot of words, it doesn't mean anything. It's not. It's really, really important that the vision captures what we want it to be. So this vision is ambitious. This vision tells us we want it to be inclusive, we want it to be fair, and we want people to feel welcoming here. This vision tells us that we want sustainable town centres, not just something that works for a little while. We want to build that sustainability into it. It tells us about community and creativity and how important one of those things are. But more importantly than just vision, we actually now have pillars that everything that we're doing in the town centre, we have to work towards. So if we're trying to create something in the town centre and it doesn't fit within one of these things, it's not good enough. It has to be thought of more. And this is what we got from the feedback, is that we are so proud of being in London and the diversity that London brings to us, that culture, that diversity. But we also love the fact that we're close to Surrey and Surrey market towns and those sorts of spaces. We are in a unique position of having the beauty of both of those, and we want to celebrate both and make them work together. We also know that that space to breathe is really important. That's protecting the riverside, that is protecting the river, that is protecting all of that green space around us and bringing in more green space into the areas that aren't necessarily green at the moment. And finally, in terms of the environmental action, sustainability is going to be even more important as we go forward. The environment is of critical importance, close to the river, and we know the issues that that brings in terms of climate change in the environment. And that is something that people have wanted us to do, and it's a key part of what we want to achieve. A bit technical, but when we talk about town centre, you can see the kind of area that we're now working on in order to make changes within the town centre. It's the yellow one. We're mapping on the local plan against it. So if you go, it does include Richmond Green, it does include Old Inn Park Car Park, and it includes a little bit of Q Road just starting there. But that's the thing that we're looking at when we're talking about defining the centre. And we divided it into long and short-term plans because we need to show people that we're working. We need to know, you need to know and have faith in us that we are moving forward with plans. The long-term vision is going to take a very long time to achieve. It's going to take between 5 and 10 years to get to where we want to be. But we need to do things in the meantime. And some of the things that we've done, I think most people will have seen Centre Stage Weekend. Most people here will have seen it, and the vibrancy it brought to the streets. I'll talk a little bit about that in a while. But we've got 2 public realm improvement projects as well, and these are very much ones where they were so no-brainers, we just needed to do them. And one of them is that little alleyway coming down from the station where we need to improve the welcomeness of it and improve the lighting. So you know that if you cross over these other crossing of the alleyway going down there, that's not very nice, and that needs to just be improved. And the other place that we think that needs to be improved, or we are making improvements to in the short term, is the area between the Green and Deer Park car park, because that also, the walking that route where there's a gate, doesn't feel like you can actually be allowed in many instances. But so we're going to make that better in terms of CCTV coverage and safety, better lighting, make people feel that they can use that more, possibly encourage people to use the parking out there and walk into the Green rather than drive down the Green 20 times to try and find parking space. And we've got coming some riverside activations, and I've got a little bit more on those, so I am going to go on to them. So Centre Stage last Saturday, and I think most of you will have been aware of what we were trying to do. We closed George Street and we created carnival-like atmosphere on George Street in the Richmond Square. And it was successful by all accounts. People who were there were having a wonderful time. We brought things to young people in. We were testing the sorts of things that people wanted to engage with. So families sitting there enjoying making things together. Kids skateboarding, which are the things that they engage with most, which are the things that they wanted to do. That's what we're trying to learn from things like this. What is it that attracts people in? We had market of swapping clothes and sustainability, but the measures of success that we're going to look at over the next month, probably maybe 6 weeks, are: did it benefit the businesses? Did it benefit the retailers? The anecdotal evidence so far from the work that we've been doing, and Lorinda has been going and talking to businesses, is it's been absolutely fantastic for businesses. And the feedback that we're getting, not officially, is that it is better. Did people enjoy it? Certainly the evidence of people who were there on the spot was that it was enjoyed by people who were there. Did people come? The footfall was huge. People came and they did actually enjoy it. And the other thing is we are looking at what happened with the traffic, and I've seen some of the feedback on your Facebook page. And we did monitor it, and we are getting the data from TfL, and we are going to understand what the vehicle movements were and what bus movements were. Were there any delays? What happened? Were there any issues? What we do know from TfL already is that there was nothing that meant they moved to a contingency plan. They were happy with how things went during the course of the day. At a level, we had contingency plans in place that we didn't need to move to. So it looks as if it's reasonably good. We knew there'd be increased traffic, but it looks as if it's worked reasonably well. That's a short-term initiative. That's not something that we are doing in the long term in terms of sending buses around the green. That is something that we did for the day of the festival. See pictures of it, and if you want to officially feed back to us, if anyone wants to scan that QR code, you can feed directly through to the council to what it is that your feedback is on the day. I've got just a little bit more, Phil, just before you get up, but I mean, yeah. the public realm improvement fund projects here. So it's not just George Street. So last Saturday was about George Street and what we're doing with George Street. It's also about what we do in that 5 bit of the town centre. And again, we're using that test approach. We've got lots and lots of ideas, but if we went and invested lots of money in making changes, that wouldn't be the right thing. So we're going to do some short-term activations down by the riverside. So I'm on the public realm and I've got there. I've done these ones, yeah. So we're looking here at things like active play areas for children, we're looking at picnic zones and rewilding, ecological areas. All of these things are short-term aspects that we think we can deliver and understand and learn and see, is it the right place for these things? Is it the right facility for these things? And we are doing well. I think the Thames Landscape strategy on the room here, aren't we? We're working with Grace went on kind of like an analysis with you last week, and it will all be done in conjunction with that. Really struggling with these. There's a kind of a pop-up open forward button, which is making it difficult. And what we're doing now is we're also looking at the long term, and we've set up our own work streams, which aren't that different from what you're doing. And what you're doing is feeding into some of these workshops as well. We've held a number of workshops. We've got a lot of ideas, but we have to go through that element of understanding what will work and what won't work. So we've got a huge number of ideas on the table, and you've probably seen some of them if you've been at some of the workshops, and we'd love to hear more this evening. But what the officers are doing in the council at the moment is they're working through all of those and seeing, well, first of all, is it technically possible? Because I can tell you, one of the ideas that was given to us was put a great slide down Richmond Hill that takes you down to the river. I mean, that's a wonderful creative idea, but technically not possible. So we're going through that whole thing of going through the ideas that have come through. Are they technically possible? Can we afford to do them? Is it the right thing? And do stakeholders and the local community want it? And that's the process that we're going through at the moment. When we finish that, we'll be putting our long-term plan for the next 5 to 10 years through the committee system of the council. And over to you.
You've got to click on there.
Give us a second. Whilst the big one is being sorted out, table 6, I think, does have the QR code, which Katie was referring to. So if you want to feed into the council about this stage,
Can you unmute this?
No, you don't see them on the screen.
Just table 6 is one.
Oh, I see.
That's what it's just
How's it? So you have to click me first. You just put the mouse on. And then it will work.
So I think you just. Yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's it.
If you get that to work, I'm going to be really jealous.
The benefit of going second. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for inviting me to talk about our nighttime strategy. It's a great opportunity to get your inputs as well as we move forward very much into implementation phase of this. So why did we do this? I think this is a general feeling across London, across many towns and cities as well, that actually nighttime, and when we say nighttime, bear in mind we say anything between the hours of 6 in the evening and 6 in the morning. So really you could also call it an evening and nighttime. Is something almost like the forgotten part of an economy and the forgotten part of the town. And that's because many people don't take part in it, don't actually enjoy it, don't aren't actually there. And we felt that it was very, very important to get a really good feel on what was going on in the evening in our towns. How do we actually tackle some of the issues that are coming forward? How do we make more out of night time? And I suspect, of course, this was a borough-wide initiative. So I focused a bit on some of the outcomes that came in for Richmond here, town centre, but also this was borough. So this was very much looking across all the towns and the centres across the whole of the borough of Richmond. So a process, like we always did a process, so we did some early stage collaboration and getting data on this, quite a wide amount of consultation in terms of going forward. We had a first draft, which we put forward in further consultation, and launched the nighttime strategy in, I think, May this year. And now we're going forward into some of the lead actions as well. So something that an awful lot of people took part in. We had a lot of events as well. We had a number of events for young people. We involved a number of you guys, I think, a number of other societies as well. We got a lot of people into the consultation.
Just restart that again. Is that too good?
Yes.
It's not sharing. It's just
Start there.
yeah. Something happened. It's just.
There you go. It's not just me.
Seems to be working for me at the moment.
No, it's working there, but there was something. There was an issue. Let's just do it again.
Does that matter?
Yeah. That's it.
Excellent. And a little bit more about consultation. We looked very much at each individual area. There was a lot of different music, also in terms of different age groups, different interest groups as well.
Is that mouse? Is it still clicking? It's good. Is it clicking?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay, let's see how this works. Big picture, key emerging themes that came through, and Katie made a reference to this as well as far as the RTC was concerned. Very much a lack of focus for young people, a lack of activities and places to go, concerns about safety. We'll come back to that in a number of areas, and of course concerns about affordability. Opportunities coming through with music, the fact that this borough has a very, very distinctive music history, and there's an appetite for more live music in terms of what we can put together. Safety, coming through a lot. Transport at night, concerns about transport, how to get home, how to get hold of buses, lighting, big issue, very patchy across our borough. And then biodiversity, importance of maintaining healthy balance between nighttime activity and nature, so how lighting actually feeds into that as well. So those were some of the big picture items that came through. What we've done with the strategy, we divided it then into people, place, economy and transport. And I'll just quickly go through those headlines, and then we'll focus a little bit more on what came through for Richmond town, if you like. Now, when it comes down to people, I think a couple of real themes here. Certainly the point about, again, for younger people, later opening businesses for safety and activities doesn't necessarily mean pubs and chains and alcohol. It actually means a broader, diverse range of businesses that actually younger people will actually really enjoy taking part in. Safety and bystander training, and again, the point about USB charging. So one of the big things on here, really making sure that young people and women in particular feel safe in the community that we have across our area when they're out in the evenings, when they're trying to travel home. Place, I think a big thing here, a big theme is that it comes a lot with climate change and more time being spent outside. Actually wanting to make more use of the outdoors in the evening, and not just in summer, but in winter as well. So how can businesses do that? How can we put more street lighting together, more outdoor art that encourages people out? How can we actually get more people to come to better and affordable? Look at the inside businesses we have, of course, which are quite expensive for people as well. And even things like toilets, buildings and streets designed for night, toilets availability, those sort of things. So place, the big message really was getting outside, doing more outside. We do to facilitate that. Economy, again, a major part of what we're trying to do everywhere is looking at what opportunities we have to grow our economy. And again, it was about more cultural activities, more music events in the evening. Do we have enough facilities to basically do that? Do we have enough big enough facilities to really make the most of that? Can we actually expand our food offering for more affordability? Can we do more in terms of night markets? That was a big theme coming through there. obviously something which is very relevant, very interesting in the winter time. Experimenting with later night opening, and I stress it again, not necessarily about bars and pubs, but more in other diverse forms of openings as well. I think everything tends to suddenly close at 5 or 5:30. What about 7, 8 o'clock at night? That sort of thing. And then very much importantly, improving conditions for night workers and better promotion of the nighttime offer. So a lot about getting more out of the economy. And then finally, in terms of transport, again, what information we can provide to people, and also keeping our nighttime workers at the front of our mind here. A lot of the workers who work in our town centres live elsewhere in the borough or even outside of it. And what can we do in terms of providing them with better information? For instance, real-time information at bus stops. The lack of that in some areas, if you haven't got the right connectivity, can be a very big worry for nighttime workers trying to get home in the evening. So that whole theme was a very big part of what we were trying to do. Now, we did what we've then done, and you can see in the book there, we've got the copy of Time to Shine here. There are plenty of copies available. We've done a kind of more granular focus on each of our town centres. So Richmond, I'll talk about now, but we've also done Witham, we've done Teddington, all of the town areas. We're working with local ward councils in each of those areas to see how can you take forward each of these actions. So I just pulled out a couple of slides here on the key actions as far as Richmond Town Centre is concerned. And you'll see here a lot of dovetail and overlap with what Katie was just talking about. And indeed, the RTC plan is going to be a very useful mechanism for us to work together in action in some of the areas that have also come out of the strategy. But very much about later opening businesses, safe havens, again, and introducing USB phone charging points, again, a point of attention in the general area. Place, I think also the fact that in many of our towns, and in fact, Richmond's a classic example of that. Richmond's almost made up of various micro areas, and each of those might need a slightly different approach. We need to talk about lighting, we talk about safety, we talk about the use of events. So we recognise that and trying to look at each individual area, working with the community to work out what approach might be best. And simple things like, for instance, we're having problems with collecting waste. Can we actually do that in a more centralised way? We have big problems at the moment with our big where they do a lot of street cleaning, and then they find the following morning that the waste collection made a mess of the streets again. So simple things like that, can we get those right? A big area, and I know this has come through a lot with the town centre plan, as well as wayfinding, and how can we actually help people find their way around at night and in the evening, and what kind of strategy and approach will we have for that? And that's a common area that Katie and I are working together on as we go forward. And then potential locations for other kind of community activity for young people as well. When it comes to the economy, I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but just to show these are some of the kind of areas of focus. So more diverse, creative outlets for education and activity, targeting some of our marginalised groups and groups of people that haven't spent much time in our town centres for the last few years, and encouraging our new businesses to extend their offers. With transport as well, as you would imagine, some of the issues around safety at the station, some of the things about buses and timings and making sure we publicise that better, and obviously big things about pedestrianisation and cycle routes as well. Some common themes coming forward. So where are we now? Well, we picked out a couple of areas that we're looking to really develop. The first thing is, as people well imagine, is lighting. So we're doing a much more intensive deep dive about lighting in key areas. That's involved quite a lot of nighttime walks to get an idea about where hotspots and where worrying areas are, so we can kind of take some measures and approaches on that. We're in the middle of doing that work now as well. And then the other one I wanted to highlight was the music industry status. So we're about to produce a report in that area for the borough into how we can make more out of our music industry and our music heritage. What can we do in terms of providing cultural attractions? Already, the publicity that we've gained about the music heritage in Richmond Borough has helped us considerably. So, for instance, with School of Rock just establishing their first franchise location in Twickenham, they were attracted here by some of the history and some of the issues that we've got regarding music heritage in the borough. It's been very positive. We want to look at how we can build that economy. So those are two of the major areas that I want to focus, and a number of other things around the area of safety as well. So that's what I wanted to focus on. It gives you a bit of a feel as to where we are and some of our early priorities. And back to the chair.
Well, thank you very much, Kate and John. Certainly the councillors have been busy. Now it's time for the breakout groups. So those of you who are already round tables, really know what your subject area is. Those of you who are sitting at the back, if you wish to join the table, please do. And I think Max is going to bring back the slide which has the table subject matters.